Hello everyone! Welcome back to the channel. Thanks again so much for tuning in. I'm Simmer Chase. Today's episode 8 of our speed builds. This one is the Cozy Community Garden. I'm so excited to get started. So what had happened was Brindleton Bay's kind of been on the downhill. But that's okay because a bunch of community members decided to band together and fix the dump. So yes, what they did, you'll never guess it. They took the dump house and they converted it into a beautiful urban oasis in the Cozy Community Garden. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as I do all the heavy lifting and we build this garden. Yes, cannot wait. So without further ado, stay proud and go out and do something magical. And let's go ahead and dive in now.
So first things first, the crazy thing about this is Brindleton Bay started kind of going to the wayside. So unfortunately, we've got undeveloped land here that used to be a really awesome house that fell in. And then a recent development, the ledge just came in. It's a little micro apartment. And then there is now the dump lot, which is what we're working on now. To help revitalize Brindleton Bay and bring it back to what it used to be and kind of, pay more respect to the overall bay and to kind of give the community something really fun to do. So we're building the Cozy Community Garden. So now I just demo my lot and then I'm gonna start chunking out my squares, getting all my pieces here together. And I wanted to do a couple of greenhouses and then I wanted to give it like a nice little central building that could maybe be like a donated building from somebody that, maybe had left a trust or something really fancy like that to an endowment. And, that maybe then they could have built this little building then for visitors and people that need to use the restroom, that sort of thing. So now I'm just kind of getting my little bathroom quad sort of thing here set up and done. So I'm kind of immediately thought, oh no, my bathrooms are going to be kind of tiny, so I'm going to have to get creative with that. So you'll see how I kind of create those bathroom cubes and stuff here in a little bit. But right now I'm just getting in the rest of my exterior windows, which do morph a few times because I really wanted to go postmodern with this sort of building to get something different and kind of create a new direction for Brindleton Bay. Alrighty, so I did these bump outs because I thought it'd be really fun too to really accentuate the features of the building and just of everything around it. And I wanted to maybe do some sort of round roof, but then over time I just kept waffling on it and was like, I think maybe it would be cuter without it. Because it's like bathrooms and stuff anyway, so that's not really needed. So I ended up canning it and then going with something different that would just kind of make it more modern looking. So I did the wood fence sort of stuff around it to just give it a really interesting, different look. And then later on, you're going to kind of see white too, because we get in sort of the eco elements there on the roof, like the rain collector. So it's all pretty self-sustaining. It's a community garden. Less maintenance, the better, because then if people quit, it won't necessarily fall apart like the rest of the town has. So hopefully it's kind of on a better, brighter futures. So now I am working on just kind of, carving out my little greenhouses. So I end up creating one greenhouse and then just copying it over and then just kind of designing it out a little bit more once I copy the structure over. And then of course our community board, can't forget it. And then we have to meet the requirements of the community garden space. So I just start throwing down stuff at first and then start moving it as I needed to. But it's pretty much you have to have a certain amount. And then here I am again. Since this is a garden, I really kind of gave it a top shelf green grass treatment. So there's 4 different textures on this just to kind of give it that really bright fun look, and it'll really start coming to life as the plants and things kind of go in here, and the different colors will really help accentuate that, I think, too. Okay, so now the rain collectors, and we got our solar panels. So it's not like somewhere you would really go and spend any time, but it's definitely accessible if you needed to. So now I'm just putting in my little areas for gardening on the inside and just kind of getting all my greenhouses together. And I wanted for them to be able to still get to the plants and stuff. So I didn't really put a lot of clutter in these rooms, but you could definitely do that if you wanted. But I pretty much just wanted to make it specifically to just like throw a bunch of plants into, because it's like more of a community garden space, not like your own like personal one necessarily like you have to share. So it's like, and everybody else is going to be using it. So it's like you really don't want a lot of things, because then you might have the kleptomaniacs them that like steal things. So then it's like, you know, oops. So I was like, I won't do a lot of that kind of stuff in this build. So it's kind of a quicker one. But then again, it allows other people to kind of pick up the ball and run with it if they want to in the gallery. So this is currently available to download now. Alrighty, so now I'm just getting more of my plants filled in. I really love layering plants on top of plants on top of plants. And when I think I have enough plants, then I get more plants. And in real life, that's kind of the way my life has been, but not by my own choosing. I like virtual plants because I don't have to physically remember to water them. So, or take care of them or look at them. It's just like right there, you know, in the sense. So now I'm just getting in more bamboo and stuff. And I like these a lot because you can shrink them quite a bit and still maintain that size and texture in the graphic that you're gonna want. Alrighty, so now I'm just getting in other little pieces, and then I'm gonna start digging into the debug stuff here in a bit. And when I do that, I actually did a lot of the debug off camera and then ended up just going back through and doing the redo function to kind of bring in all those elements, because it takes a long time to be able to find and sift through everything on that, because you can't just go like search debug, whatever item. It's like everything's just called debug. So it's like maybe someday, you know, there'll be like an actual like official way we can use it so that it's much easier on camera. But like it literally takes a while to find what you're looking for. So that's why I just like threw it in and then went back and like replayed it so that you guys be able to see what I went with. But I just kind of wanted to be able to feature some debug items in this because I really wanted to kind of lift it up even a bit more than some of the other builds I've done out for outdoors, because I thought it'd be fun to really incorporate a lot of the nifty knitting features. So there's not a lot of area here to really be able to hang plants. So I made my own plant hangers. So basically what I did, here's my bees going in. So basically what I did is I took the fiddle, the children's fiddle. So now I've got like bi-directional solar panels now as well. But then I was like, oh, I need to, you know, have some hanging plants because I really love those from Nifty Knitting. So what I ended up doing was taking the children's fiddle, the bow piece, and then blowing it up like ×5. And then I used that as sort of like a hanging feature for plants, because you like essentially you'd then be able to use it as like something to hang plants off of. And I used that in between my buildings. So that's a fun tip. It definitely looks like one of those things you would string across and like hang pictures of plants from. And it's like a fun little element that I thought would be neat. It's like an unusual use for a different random item in build if you're ever looking for one of those challenges. Like, I would love to be able to do a challenge here soon that just has, you know, features where you're featuring every item in your build is like used technically for like something else, but you're using it for another feature, even if it's just to cover up something. So I was having a bit of a moment on these doors and windows, and then I was like, you know, I'm gonna 86 that and go with something different. So I ended up like looking at a couple other options. And then I put that in, and then I was like, oh, then you won't be able to open the door very well, then will you? Oops. So I end up coming back around one more time on those windows because I was like, oh, you can't, like the side, if you were to open it, you would just walk right into those windows, like that overhangs like a lot. So I was like, this is not going to be okay. So now I'm getting all of my little like stalls and stuff in here. So what I ended up doing is just using fence doors with medium height pony wall to really make it work. Alrighty, so now I'm just getting in the rest of my lighting around, picking up the women's room now, getting that one done. And then we'll circle back around here in a moment and you'll see what I was talking about with the debug items. Maybe eventually someday I'll have enough knowledge of all the debug items, but it's still like so overwhelming to look at even after all these years of having it. So it's just crazy. So, okay, now, yep, so now I got all the paint and everything kind of finalized there. I do pop in a couple pieces of art and kind of give it overall something interesting. So now we have our toilet paper, rolls, all that stuff, the cosmetic and kind of cluttery done. Cool. And now we have this area over here that's just like lounge that I'm doing from the outside. And this area, since it was a smaller, I was able to fit a lot more in it, fortunately, so that we could have like a really good area for these hanging plants. And then that's what really started sparking my idea of like, oh wow, where else can I put these things? Because there just wasn't a lot of like room necessarily to have all that hanging stuff, because you can't really walk around or underneath it very well. So, okay, so now I get in those nicer windows that I thought would maybe fit our space, because I wanted to go with that postmodern industrial look a little bit, but more of like a calm, relaxing version with the white. Cool. So yeah, now I'm just kind of tweaking the plants and getting the last little bits. And then I was like playing with it some, because I was like, oh, in real life, this would like totally whack and cut that off like in a minute. So I like immediately like was like, oh, maybe if I just shrink it, it'll be better. So that's what I ended up doing on those, and I think it made more sense. So now I'm getting all the estate lighting in to just make sure that it's really lit like in the evening. So there's quite a bit of time I spent just getting lights and stuff put in and making sure that it was all bright. Cool. And then I realized I can't have doors right there. That won't work. And then I was thinking of like any other modern elements I might want to incorporate, but I didn't end up finding any. Okay, so now I'm just getting the rest of the interior common space lit up and done. Those last pieces, a couple little areas of maybe sitting. And then I end up doing like a little computer area, of course, you know, if you need to do some research. But there's also a flower arranging table on the first floor. And then there's a woodworking bench outside, and also a pumpkin patch, like cutter thing, like a, the pumpkin kit. So it's really cool, because being able to kind of have those features I thought would make sense, like in a garden area, because you like could ostensibly grow pumpkins and then carve them right there. So you've got your carving station. Cool. So now I'm getting my trash cans in, which is a requirement. So I've got the one under the stairs, then we put another one. I put another one towards like the side, which I'll then end up putting a fountain in here in a little bit. And I wanted to put something there, but I ended up going with like something that actually made sense for like this whimsy garden. I just wanted it to be modern and interesting and different as best as I could, with as many different things that you could fit in a 15 by 20 lot. So it's a good little top park. Okay, cool. So now this is where my debug comes in. So you'll see here in a minute, things are starting to populate. and I flip around and see. So now I'm really getting in and adding in a lot more landscaping. And then here's where I pop in my little resizes of all of the different bamboo so that it's not blocking our views of things, and that it looks a little more natural because it's like different sizes and textures now. And then popping in the lighting. I embedded the lighting inside of the trees so that it looked like that they were attached to the tree. Okay, so now it's just the last little bits of things outside, getting the lighting hung up on the outside, getting all the pieces kind of finalized towards the top and the edges. I had put the billboard in and kind of got that more positioned. This was something random. I was like, wait, how did that even get there? I don't even know. So I was just kind of then just painting around and looking at everything. You can really see here now all the options for what this lot has. And I was like, oh, these things like aren't going to work out. So what I ended up doing was something a little bit different and popping in some columns, which I thought were a little different and funky with the navy, just bringing that in a little bit here. And I couldn't actually fit them right there, which I thought was fine because I wanted them on just one side anyway. I thought that it would be kind of overkill with the rest. So then just the last little bit of lighting, as you can see here, and there's just a lot of little pockets of flowers that I popped in, and just a lot of different pieces of like the lighting, different textures in lighting, the rugs, and now just the last little bit of power around the top and sides. And I just start adding in these sort of like jewel things into the windowsills because I wanted something there, but I didn't know what until I found something different. So you'll see here in a second. I almost went with the lantern, but I didn't. So I grabbed this like that jewel sort of thing and popped that in because I thought it'd just be a little different element and give it something that's just kind of like, oh, interesting. They're like lit up. So it's just something different to look at, I guess. So I pop in all of these, get them in here. And then there's only a couple other little touches that we'll do here in a moment. So it's kind of really coming along now. I really like the Joshua tree a lot too. I think they're fun. Okay, cool. So here's the garden. Here's what it is now and how everything is set up. So now it's known as the Cozy Community Garden, and it's now available on the gallery. Thanks again, guys, so much for tuning in. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Go out and stay proud and do something magical as we finish up the rest of the traits on this.